Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari
2021-1107 Srimad
Jayo
Bhagavatam
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Shri Radha Madhava ki jai, Shri Gaura Nitai ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are reading this morning from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 12th chapter,
今天早晨要学
text
习的是
24.
Srimad Bhagavatam 第一篇第12章第24时节。
Yes, please repeat after me.
请跟我一起重复。
Sarva Sadguna Mahatmye
Sarva Sadguna Mahatmye
Eshaha
Esha
Krishnam
Krishnam
Anuvrataha
Anuvrataha
Aranti Devaha
Ramti Devaha
Iva
Iva
Uddharaha
Udaraha
Yayatihi
Yatihi
Iva
Iva
Dharmikaha
Dharmikaha
Sarvasanguna Mahatmye
Sarva Sadguna Mahatmye
Sarvasanguna Mahatmye
Sarva Sadguna Mahatmye Esha Krishnam Anuvrataha Esha Krishnam Anuvrataha Ranti Deva Ibodharo Ranti Deva Ibodharo
Esha Krishnam Anuvrataha
Esha Krishnam Anuvrataha
Esha Krishnam Anuvrataha
Krishnam Anuvrataha
Ranti Deva Ivodharo
Ranti Deva Ibodharo
Ranti Deva Ivodharo
Ranti Deva Ibodharo
Yayatiriva Dharmikaha
Yayatiriva Dharmikaha
Yayatiriva Dharmikaha
Yayatiriva Dharmikaha
Sarvasanguna Mahatmye
Sarva Sadguna Mahatmye
Esha Krishnam Anuvrataha
Esha Krishnam Anuvrataha
Ranti Deva Ivodharo
Ranti Deva Ibodharo
Yayatiriva Dharmikaha
Yayatiriva Dharmikaha
Sarvasanguna Mahatmye
Sarva Sadguna Mahatmye
Krishna Manuvrataha
Esha Krishnam Anuvrataha Ranti Deva Ibodharo Yayatiriva Dharmikaha Sarva Sadguna Mahatmye Esha Krishnam Anuvrataha Ranti Deva Ibodharo
Sarvasanguna Mahatmye
Dharmikaha Sarva Sadguna Mahatmye Esha Krishnam Anuvrataha Ranti Deva Ibodharo Yayatiriva Dharmikaha
Sarvasanguna Mahatmye
Mahatmye
Esha Krishna
Manuvrataha Ranti Deva Ibodharo Yayatiriva Dharmikaha
Sarvasanguna Mahatmye Sarvasanguna Mahatmye
Sarva Sadguna Mahatmye
glorified by all godly attributes.
被所有神性的属性
Eshaha
之所荣耀。
This child
这个孩子
Krishnam
Krishnam
like Lord
像
Krishna
主 Krishna 一样
Anuvrataha
Anuvrataha
a follower in his
他
footsteps
的步伐的一个追随者
Ranti Devaha
Ranti Devaha
Ranti Deva
Ranti Deva
Iva
他
like
像
Udaraham
Udaraha
in the matter of magnanimity
宽宏大量
Yayatihi
Yayati
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 Iva
Iva
like
像
Dharmikaha
Dharmikaha
concerning religion.
关于宗教
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This child will be almost as good as Lord Shri Krishna by following in his
所
footsteps.
以将几乎与 Krishna
In
一样。
magnanimity, he will
在
become
宽宏大
as
量方
great
面，
as
他
King
将
Rantideva,
Rantideva
and in
王般优
religion,
秀。
he will be
有关
like
宗教方
Maharaj
面，他
Yayati.
将如Yayati王。
The last instruction of Lord Shri Krishna in
或者
Bhagavad
主是
Gita
Krishna 在
is that one should give up
最
everything
高
and
指
should
示
follow
我
in
们
the,
应该
in
放
the
弃一切，
footsteps
跟随至尊主。
of Lord alone. Less
不
intelligent
幸的
persons
是，
do
智
not
力更
agree
加之
to
人不赞
this
同至尊
great
主所给
instruction
予
of the
的
Lord,
这一
as
超
ill
凡的
luck
教
would
导。
as ill luck would have it.
然而，真
But
正
one
智
who
慧
is
的人
actually
会紧紧
intelligent
抓住这
catches
条
up
崇
this
高的
sublime
训斥，可以得
instruction
到
and is
极大
immensely
的收益。
benefited. Foolish people do not know
愚
that
蠢之人不
association
懂
is
得
the
近朱
cause
者
of
赤，近墨者
acquiring
黑这一
qualities.
道理。
Association
从
with
物质的
fire
角度
makes
看也
makes
如
an
此。
object hot,
例如，与火接
even
触使
in
接
the
触
material
物变
sense.
热。同
Therefore,
样道理，
association with the
与之
Supreme
人格手
Personality
神
of
接
Godhead
触
makes
交
one
往，成
qualified
就
like the
像至
Lord.
尊主一样的
As we
德。
have discussed
正如我们前
previously,
面讨论
one
过
can
的，
achieve
靠与至尊主的亲密联谊，
78%
人
of
可
the
以获
godly
得至尊主
qualities
神
by
性
the
品
Lord's
质的
intimate
48%。
association. To follow the
遵循至尊
instructions
主
of
的
the
教导
Lord
就是与
is to
至尊主
associate
联
with the
谊。
Lord. The Lord is
尊主
not
不是
a
物质
material
对象，
object
所以
whose
不是需要
presence
感
one
受
has
到
to
他的
feel
存在才
for
可以
such
与他交往
association.
联谊。
The Lord is present
至
everywhere
尊主
and at
无所
all
不在，
times.
而且无时不在。
It is quite
至
possible
尊
to
主的
have
教导以
his
及至尊主
association
的
simply
名
by
字、
following
形
his
象、
instruction,
个性、
because the Lord and
人
his
和他的教
instruction
导，
and the Lord and his name,
他
fame,
的联谊
attributes
是
and
完全可以
paraphernalia
做到的。
are all identical with him. Being absolute
所以
knowledge,
Krishna Maharaj 甚
being
至
absolute
自
knowledge,
从
Maharaj
他母亲
Parikshit
的
associated
宫
with the
中时
Lord
就与至
even
尊
from
主
the
有了
womb
接
of
触，
his mother
而这
up to
种
the
交
last
往
day of
联谊
his
直
valuable
到
life,
他宝
and
贵
thus
生命的
he
最后一刻。
acquired all the
正因
essential
如
good
此，他获得
qualities
了
of the
至尊
Lord
主所
in
有的美
all
好品质，而且
perfection.
绝对完美的体现出来。
Rantideva, description of
让
Rantideva.
吧。
An ancient king prior to the
是
Mahabharata
中
period,
描述的
referred
事
to
件
by
发
Narada
生
Muni
前
while
存在的
instructing
一位古
Sanjaya.
代君王，
As mentioned in
正如
Mahabharata, Drona
Mahabharata
Parva
多
67,
那篇
he was a
第
great king, liberal for
记载的
hospitality
纳尔
and
穆尼在
distribution
教
of
导桑
foodstuff.
迦亚时提到
Even
过
Lord Shri
他，
Krishna
他
praised
是
his
位伟
acts
大的
of
君
charity
王，
and
他殷勤
hospitality.
好客，
He
慷
was
慨大
blessed
方，
by the
总
great
是不失
Vasishta
食物。
Muni for supplying
就
him
连圣
cold
主 Krishna
water,
本人都很赞赏他
and
的
thus
博
he
爱和
achieved
殷
the
勤
heavenly
好
planet.
客。
He used to
他因
supply
为给瓦西
fruits,
特穆尼
roots,
提
and
供了
leaves
粮
to
水，
the
而得
rishis,
到穆尼的
and
祝
thus
福，
he was
并
blessed by
非
them
常。
with fulfillment of his desires.
他曾经给
Although
圣人
Kshatriya by
提
birth,
供水果跟
he
这些
never
叶
ate
子，
flesh in his
都得
life.
到他的祝福，
He
实
was
现了自己的
especially
愿望。
hospitable
他
to
身为
Vasishta
差距
Muni,
但一生
and by
只为
his
吃过肉。
blessings
他对瓦
only
西
he
特穆尼
attained the
尤其
higher
殷勤，
planetary
而仅仅
residence.
靠瓦西
He
特
is
穆
one
尼
of
的
those
祝
pious
福，
kings
他获
whose
得了
names
高
are
等君主
remembered
的
in the
主权。
morning
他是
and
名垂
evening.
千古的前人
Yayati.
君王之一。
The great
Yayati，
emperor
伟
of the
大的世
world
界
and the
帝王，
original
世
forefather
上所
of
有
all
属于
great
阿瑞
nations
人
of the
和印
world
欧血
who
统的伟
belong
大
to the
民族最
Aryan
早的
and
祖先。 他是
Indo-European
马哈
stock.
纳普沙的儿子，
He
由于他的
is
哥
the
哥成
son
了优
of
秀
Maharaj
神圣
Nahusha,
委托了的神秘瑜伽师，
and he
他便
became
当
the
了世
emperor of
界
the
帝
world
王。
due to his
他
elder
统治全世
brothers
界几千
becoming a
年，
great and
虽然在
liberated
年轻时非
saintly
常好
mystic.
色，有很多罗麦史，
He ruled
但
over
却
the
继
world
承
for
了许多
several
弟子，
thousands of
从
years
事了被
and
载入史
performed
册
many
的众多虔诚
sacrifices
活动。
and pious
他爱上了
activities
舒卡
recorded
查
in
也最亲爱
history.
的女儿
Although
德维亚
his
尼。
early youth was
德维亚
very
尼想要
lustful
嫁
and
给雅
full
亚
of
提，
romantic
但由于
stories,
她是 Brahmana 的女
he
儿，
fell in
雅
love
亚
with
提先拒
Devayani,
绝了她。
the most beloved
按照
daughter
启示
of
经典的规定
Shukracharya.
，Brahmana 可以娶
Devayani
差却的
wished
女
to
儿
marry
为
him,
妻，但
but
差
at
却不
first
能
he
娶 Brahmana
refused
的
to
女儿为
accept
妻。
her
当时
because
他
of
们
her
十分
being
谨慎
a
地避
daughter
免
of a
不要在
Brahmana.
世上增加要不得的人
According
口。
to Shastras,
Varna
a
商出了
Brahmana
这一
could
问
marry
题。
the daughter of a Brahmana.
舒克尔查也修订了
They
很
were
多
very
地上有
much
关婚姻的
cautious
禁
about
令，
Varna Sankara
劝帝王雅
population in
亚
the
提
world.
娶德维亚
Shukracharya
卑微安妮有一个名
amended
叫
this
达
law
米
of
舍的
forbidden
朋友
marriage
也爱上了
and
这位帝
induced
王，
Emperor
所以
Yayati
随
to
朋友
accept
德维亚尼
Devayani.
一起到了帝王的家。
Devayani
舒克
had a
查尔祝福
girlfriend
雅亚提把
named
沙米什
Sharmishta
召进他的卧
who
室，
was fell in love with the
但雅亚
emperor
提没
and
有
thus
严
went
格
with
遵守
her
他的训
friend
令，他秘
Devayani.
密的娶沙米什
Shukracharya
为妻，
forbade
并给他
Emperor
生了儿
Yati
子。
to call
卑微亚
Sharmishta
尼了
into
解这一
his
真相
bedroom,
后去找
but
他，
Yayati could
投
not
诉
strictly follow his
雅亚提非
instruction.
常依
He
恋卑微亚
secretly
尼，
married Sharmishta
但当他去
also
岳父
and
家
begot
找卑微
sons
亚
by
尼时，
her.
舒克查尔也对他
When
十
this
分
was
生
known
气，
by
诅咒他
Devayani,
变得
she
老
went
弱
to
无
her
力。
father and lodged
雅
a
亚提祈求
complaint.
他岳父祝福
Yayati
诅咒，
was much
但这位
attached
圣
to
人要求
Devayani,
他去向他的儿子们做
and when
明
he
情
went to
状。
his
但他的儿子必须与他交换。
his father-in-law's place to call her, Shukracharya was
雅
angry
有
with
5个
him
儿
and
子，
cursed
2
him
个由
to
德维亚
become
尼所生，
impotent.
3个由 Sarmishta 所生。
Yayati begged
他
his
这5个儿子的
father-in-law
名
to
字
withdraw
分别
his
是
curse,
1. 加杜
but the sage
2.
asked Yayati to
波
ask youthfulness
3.
from his sons
4.
and let them become old
5.
as the
这
condition
5个儿子传下5个著
his
名的王
becoming
朝，
potent.
他们分别是
He had 5
加杜
sons,
王朝
2
2.
from
亚万的
Devayani
王
and
朝
3 from Sharmishta.
3. 波觉
From
王
his
朝
5 sons,
4.
namely
Malaysia 王朝
Yadu,
4.
Turvasu, Drukyu, Anu,
Kaurava
and
王
Puru,
朝
5 famous dynasties,
这5个
namely
王
the
朝
Yadu
中的后裔
dynasty,
遍布全
the
世界。
Yavana Turk dynasty,
他靠他从事的虔
the
诚活
Bhoja
动上达
dynasty,
天
the
堂，
Mlecha dynasty,
但却因
Greek,
为自我
and the
标榜和
Paurava
欺骗其他
dynasty,
伟大的
all
人而从
emanated to
天堂
spread
堕
all
落。
over the world.
他堕落后，他的女儿和孙子
He
们把他
reached
们
the heavenly planets
他
by dint of his
在
pious
他孙子
acts,
和朋友西比王的帮助下，
but he fell
他
down
再次
from
升入
from
天
there
堂，
because
成
of
为
his
阎罗王
self-advertisement
的随从，
and criticizing
当
other
了
great
阎罗王的
souls.
奉献者。
After his
他
fall,
成为
his daughter
1000
and
多
grandson
的祭
bestow
司，
upon him
非
their
常慷慨的
accumulated
布施，
virtues,
是一位很
and
有
by the
影响
help
力
of
的
his
君王，
grandson
全世界都感受得
and
到他
friend
强大的力量。
Shili, he was again promoted to the heavenly kingdom, becoming one of the assembly members of Yamaraja, with whom he is staying as a devotee. He performed more than 1,000 different sacrifices, gave in charity very liberally, and was a very influential king. His majestic power was felt all over the world. His youngest son agreed to award him his youthfulness when he was troubled with lustful desires, even for 1,000 years. Finally, he became detached from worldly life and returned the youthfulness again to his son Puru. He wanted to hand over the kingdom to Puru, but his noblemen and the subjects did not agree. But when he explained to his subjects the greatness of Puru, they agreed to accept Puru as the king, and thus Emperor Yati retired from family life and left home for the forest. Om Jnanantimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yenan Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yenam Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Sarva Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Radha Mataji Jai. Shri Radha Krishnabhyam Namaha. Thank you so much for coming this morning and assembling for this Bhagavatam, trying to glorify Vaishnava. Maharaj Parikshit was a great king, but not only a king, he was Vaishnava king, Vaishnava Raja, and so for us it is very instructive to see how, as the citizens of the world, can behave with the government and with rulers, and also how to glorify Vaishnava. So the specific topic of Srimad Bhagavatam today is the Guna Mahatmya, as it is said here, Sarva Sat Guna Mahatmya, glorification, laudation of all qualities, of all transcendental qualities of Maharaj Parikshit. So that is the vastu or the subject matter. The Srimad Bhagavatam is not ordinary literature, is describing the highest kind of personalities, Mahabhagavatas. So therefore we should take the shelter of them, and especially Maharaj Parikshit is the Bhagavat Shrotra, he is the hearer or listener of Srimad Bhagavatam. So in our own duties we should see how we can apply in our life. So Srimad Bhagavatam is said that it is literary incarnation of God, and is compiled by Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people, and it is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Idam Bhagavatanam Puranam Brahma Samitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishihi Nishreyasya Lokasya Dhanyam Swastyanam Mahat. So it is the ultimate good of all people, and it is all successful, blissful, all perfect. It is Nishreya. Shreya is the ultimate good of people, transcendental good, and Preya is something which is sensual, what is pleasant to senses. So Srimad Bhagavatam is giving opportunity to hear about the transcendental topics. So usually people are impelled to criticize others, just like we see that we have seen that Maharaj Yati was criticizing others. Criticism is called ninda, but another side is prashamsa. It means glorify someone, especially to glorify such great personalities like Raja Rishis, Brahma Rishis, great kings and Brahmanas. So the whole scene, introductory scene, Bhagavad Praveshana of Srimad Bhagavatam is that sages have assembled in the Naimisharanya, the forest of Naimisharanya, to perform 1,000 years of sacrifice for the benefit of all. So after the performing morning duties, in the yagya, they had a Bhagavatam recitation, and they wanted to know what is the ultimate good, Shreya for all people. And the Sutta Goswami is answering that the Srimad Bhagavatam is meant for the ultimate good of all people. So from that introductory scene, we see that sages were interested. How have you heard this Srimad Bhagavatam? How have Sutta Goswami heard Srimad Bhagavatam? And then he is narrating who was the original in a relative sense, original speaker, Vaktra, and Shrotra, the listener of Srimad Bhagavatam. And therefore this story comes into place to explain who is the hearer of Srimad Bhagavatam, what were his qualities and what were the circumstances, and what were his questions. So at the time when the war of Kurukshara stopped, the Yudhishthira was worried because there was no one else after them to be on throne, because everyone or most of people were killed, and even the children of Pandavas were killed. So he was worried about that. But the son of Abhimanyu was in the womb of Uttara. And therefore, it was great jubilation for the king to see that son was born, because it was great concern of
因为
kings
国王们最担心的就是这个，
who will be successor in
谁
royal
会
line.
成为他们的王朝的继
Because
承
in
人。
Daivi Varnashrama,
因为
divine
在
social order,
戴
the
维文纳
king
什之中，
is responsible
国王
to make proper
有责任
succession and also under his
要
guardianship to make
确保
another
合适的
king.
继承人，也就是说，
Because
在
if there
他
is
的监
no
督
king
照
who
管
is
之
the
下，就可以
embodiment
下
of
一个
Dharma,
王，因为如果没有国王，就
Raja
是没有
Dharma,
Dharma 了。
so the whole
Raja
society, in
Dharma
whole
因此
society
整个的社
will
会
prevail
就
Adharma
会
and
充
people
满了
will
阿
not
达尔玛，
fulfill their
而人
purpose
们
of
呢
life,
就会
the aspiration
不
of
知道怎么
human
去
living
满足自
beings,
己生活之中最终极的
and
目的。
miscreants, rogues,
这个恶
villains will
徒、
prevail
强
and
盗，
rule the earth.
他们
So
会
it
统
was
治
great
地
worry of
球，
Maharaj
所
Yudhishthir.
以马哈拉尤迪斯非
And
常
therefore
担
he
心，
have approached
所以他
Viprakovidas,
去
the
接近
very
维
expert
科维达们，那
brahmanas,
些非常博学的
and
布拉
asked
姆
them
们，
what is the
他问他
nature
们
of this child.
这个孩子的天性
And
是什么？
so he did Jata Karma.
所以他
Jata
做了
Karma
加
is
达卡玛，加达卡玛是
samskara, the
一种
purificatory
是一
ceremony,
种净
which
化
is
仪
meant
式，
of purification
这是为了
of
让
body,
人得
mind,
到净化
intelligence
的躯体、心
of
意还有
a
智性，
child. So
让这个孩子
because
的躯体、智性、心意都得到
Maharaj
净化。
Parikshit was born in a family of
马哈拉
Vaishnavas,
尤
the
迪是
real
在
question
外
is,
的家庭之中出生的，
is there need to perform samskara for those who
所
are
以呢，
born in Vaishnava
出生在外
family?
施纳瓦家庭之中的人，他们都应该
Because
举行萨姆斯卡尔净化仪式。
if someone is a devotee, he
如果有
already
人是一个奉
have
献者的话，
transcendental consciousness, and
他
by
便具有
Bhagavad
超
Vidhi
然
he is
的
already
知觉，他
purified.
追随巴格
So
的威
that
迪，
is
他
one of the
已
main
经是净
questions
化的。
of
所以，
this
然后这个
chapter.
有一个问题，本
And
章里
although
的
someone may
提到的一个问题
may
也是
be
这
a
样。
Vaishnava,
有的人可能是
Bhagavad
一个外施
Bhakta,
纳瓦，
but
巴格
still
瓦的
his
巴克，
body
但是仍
is
然他的躯体
body is
躯体
material.
躯体是
So
物
this
质的，
body should always be
所以这个
purified.
躯体应该一直得到净
Just
化。
like when we take boga,
就像
we
是我们荣耀波嘎，我
wash
们
it,
去
we
做波
purify
嘎
it,
的
we
时候呢，
sanctify
我
it,
们应
and
该
then
去
we
净
offer
化
it.
它，我们
The
去
same
圣化
way,
它，
if we
然
want
后我
to
们再去
make
供奉
better
它。
offering to the Lord, then we should
如
perform
果我们要是
samskaras
能够向主
and in
进
that
行更好
way
的供奉呢，我们就应该举行
transmit
samskar，
the values of
这样就
civilization on
会
next
把
generations.
文明
So
的
it is
价
great
值观
worry
传递给下一
of
代。
every generation, how will
所
next
以
generation
每一代伟大的
proceed
武士
in
们，
the
他们
values
都会有
of
很真实的一套价值
established
观。
values
价值观
established in
呢，
the
应该
society.
在社
So
会之
Maharaj
上得
Parikshit
到
was
确
very
立，因
much
此
worried
呢，
about
让
that.
尤其是
So
他
they
非
did
常的担心。
Jataka karma, and they did
Karma，他们做了这个
Jataka is
Jataka
astrological prediction
然后还有占星的预
of a
言，
child. So by
对这个
reading
孩子的占星的预
astrological
言，
birth chart,
看他的
we
占星，
can see
就
what
是
are the
说星盘，
inclinations
然后
of
看
a
看他具
person.
有
We
什
cannot
么样
see
的倾向。
what will his actions
你
be,
可以
but
看
we
到
can
他的
see what
行
will
为举
his
止是什么，
inclinations
可以
be.
看到他的倾向到底
And
是什么。
these
而
Kovidas,
且
very
呢，这个
expert
他们是专家，
Brahmanas,
是很擅长的 Brahmana，
they did one very extraordinary
他们
thing.
做了一件非
And
同
we
寻
can
常
see
的事
how
情，我们可
really
以
expert
看
they
到
were. They
他
were
们真
expert
的
in
是非常
astrology,
的专业，
but also in
他们
Kavya
精
Shastra,
通
Alankara Shastra, and they
不仅精
used
通这
Kavya
个
Shastra to
占星学，还有
explain
Kavya
their
Shastra，还有
predictions.
Alankara
And they
Shastra，
use
他
one
们可以去
specific
解释这些占星的结
specific
果，
method,
而且他们用了特定的方
which is
法，
called Upama
这个
or
被称为是
Upamana
乌帕玛或者
comparison.
是乌帕玛呢，也就是比较。
In Kavya Shastra is explained
Kavya
that
Shastra 就是
rhetorics
解释了一
are based
些
on
歌
embellishments,
词，或者是
alankaras,
说
and one
Alankara
of
一
them
些修
is
饰。
comparison.
然后呢，这是用了类比的方
Comparison
法。
is
这
when
个类比
in
呢，就是当
poetical composition person is
当一个人在做诗创作
comparing
诗歌的时候，他可以
qualities
去
and
把
forms of
一些品质
two
还有
similar
形象
objects. So
在两个类
similarities,
似
the Upamana
的
also means
对象之间进
similarity.
行相比。
So they are making similarity
所以呢，
between
他们在
Maharaj Parikshit,
Maharaj
the child
Parikshit
which was
这
born,
个
and
孩
other
子
kings.
他要出生的这个孩
And-
子呢，
and
跟
as
其
well
他的国王们
with
一
the
起做
Lord.
比较，就是这个。
So this
当然还跟主也
specific
进行
kind
了比
of
较，这种特
upamana,
定
there
类
is
型的
different kinds of
Pramana，
upamana. It's called
其实有不
prashamsa.
同的
Prashamsa
Pramana，这被称为是
is
Prasamsa。Prasamsa 是一
glorification,
种荣耀，
eulogization,
一
laudation of
种
a person,
一种
especially
一个
now
人的觉悟，
the
尤
king.
其是国王们。
Usually after the
通
life
常
of a
在
king,
国王的
there
一
used to
辈
be
子之
written
后
in a
呢，
stone,
他们会在一
prashasti.
块石头上写
It
上
was known what were great achievements
也
of
就是
this
说，
king.
这个国王他的最伟大
For
的贡献
example,
和
he
成就
had
是什么？比如
digged
说，
so many wells.
他
He
发
was
掘
so
了
much
很多的
charitable.
财
He
富，然后他非
conquered
常的慷慨
so
大
many
度，他
armies.
征服了很多的军
He
队，
protected people,
他保护人
reestablished
民，
Dharma,
他
and
重新确立
many,
达
many
玛，有很多
glorifications.
很多的荣耀。
So that was after the death, but
所以
Prashansa
这
they
就
make
是死之
before
后，但是
before
呢是
the
在
actions
之
were done,
前，就是在这个事情做
glorification
之
of
前，
king.
便会
King
有
used
对
to be
国王的
considered
这个荣
Mahatma,
耀，
great
因为
personality.
国王被认为是
Therefore, it's very
Mahatma，
suitable
他
here.
是非常伟大的人
Mahatmya.
物，
The
所以呢就很
glorification is for
很适
glorious
合给他
person.
Mahatmya 去荣耀一个
And
这
not
样的
only
人，
any
而且
kind
不
of a
仅仅是任何
glorification,
类
it
型
is
的荣耀，
Sarva Sadguna
是
Mahatmya.
Sarva
It is
Sattva Mahatmya，
glorifying
也
his
就是荣
transcendental
耀他的
qualities.
超然的品质。
How they're glorifying by comparing
他们是
to
怎么荣
different
耀的
kinds
呢？
of
是通过
kings.
跟不同
And
类型
usually
的
in
国王
this
一起
kind
进行
of
比较。
comparison,
通
there
常
is
这样的比
comparison
较
of
呢，就是
one with one,
1比1的
one
比
with many
较，1比
qualities,
众的比较，1比
many
众多的
with
这
one
个
and
比较，
many
还有很多
with
跟一
many.
个，
For
还有很多跟
example,
很多
one
之
with
间的
one
这个
means
比
like
较。1对1的这个意
the
思
author
是
is saying that Krishna's face is like a
Krishna 的，比如
moon,
说
one
Krishna
with
的面
one.
庞好像是月亮一样，这就是1对1的
Chandramukha.
比喻。Chandramukha，
Krishna is Chandramukha. Or
Krishna 是 Chandramukha，
one with
或
many,
者1对多。
that someone's eyes are like
有
the
的人的
eyes of a
眼睛
hawk
就
or a
像是
peacock.
一只鹰的眼睛，
Then
或者是一孔雀的
many
眼
with
睛。
many,
然后很多对很多，多对多。
that elephants are walking like
大
a
象呢
clouds,
行
or
走的
like
时
they
候
are
就像
standing
是
like a
云朵，
mountains.
或者是他们
So
待
in
在一个
this
地
way,
方像是山
the
峦一样。
Kavi,
这样，Kavi 一个诗
Granthakara, he
人
wants to bring closer to the
，Granthakara 他
audience
想把
the
他的
qualities of
听众，
qualities
让他的
of a
听
personality
众更
which
接
may not
近至
be
尊人格守
so
神。
easily perceived.
因为至尊人格守神的
So
这些
therefore
品质
he
不是
is
很容易的能够被大
saying
家所
Sarvasat
体察
Guna
到的。
Mahatmya, and he's starting from
所以
the
这里提到的 Guna
Shloka
Mahatmya 有一
18.
个第
So I will
18
read
节，
some of these
我给大家读一些
comparisons.
这样的比
Usually
较或者
these
说比喻。
comparisons in Sanskrit we can see
这
they
些
are
比较都是梵
said
文
as
的，我
yata
们可以
tata,
看到 yata
as
tata，
so, as like, or here
如
we
此
say
这样，
we can
或
see
者是我
Iva,
们可以看到
like,
Iva 像
it was like a yati, like
像
Rantideva,
Yayati
like
像
Krishna.
Rantideva 像 Krishna。
So in text 18,
在第18节，
the learned Brahmana said, O son of Pritha, the child shall be exactly like King Ikshvaku, son of Manu,
他这
in
个孩子应该
maintaining
像
all those who were born.
Manu，他的
And as for following the Brahminical
对于
principles,
追随
especially
Brahma 的
in being
原则
true
来
to his
说呢，他
promise,
会非常的
he
坚
shall
守
be
他自己
exactly
的
like
诺言，
Rama,
他应该像
the
Rama 一
personality
样，
of Godhead, the
人
son
格
of
守神，
Maharaj
也就是
Dasharatha.
Maharaj Dasharatha 的儿子。
This child will be a
这个孩子
magnificent
将
donor of
会
charity and
成为
protector
财富的一个
of the surrendered,
捐
like the
赠者，
famous King
就像
Shibi
是伟大
of
的
the
国王
Ushinara
Shibi
country, and
在
he
乌
will
什纳国
expand the
家，
name and fame
而且
of
他
his
会
family
增
like
加他的
Bharata, the
家
son
人的
of
名
Maharaj
誉，也就是
Dushanta.
像 Maharaj Dushanta 的儿子 Bharata 一样。
Amongst great bowmen, this child will be as good as
在
Arjuna.
伟大的弓箭
He'll
手
be
中，这孩子
irresistible
将
as
跟
fire
尔朱乃
and
一样优秀，他
unsurpassable as the
将会像
ocean.
火一样不可遏制，似大海一般不可超越。
This child
这
will
孩子
be
将
as
会如
strong
狮
as
子般
lion
强壮，
and as worthy
像喜马拉雅山
as
一样，
and
值
as worthy
得
a shelter as the
投
Himalayan
靠。他
mountains.
会宽容，
The sages,
就是说
sadhus
这
are
些
taking
圣人们、
shelter
萨度们
shelter
会
of
托庇于
Himalayan
马拉
mountains.
雅山。
He will be
他
forbearing like
会
the earth.
宽容如地
The
球，
earth can tolerate
地
so
球可
many
以忍
things.
受很多的东西，
And as tolerant as
忍
his
受四
parents.
天下父
There is
母。
no that thing which mother cannot
母
tolerate.
亲没有什么不
Isn't it?
能容忍的，
Mother is so kind.
母亲太仁慈
This
了。
child will be
这孩子的心
like his
将
grandfather
像他的祖
Yudhishthir
父
or
优
Brahma
弟
in
和 Brahma 一
equanimity
样
of
平
mind.
静。
Yudhishthir is known that he was very much
Yudhishthir
composed.
他是以心
He'll
以
be
平和闻
magnificent
名
like
的，
the Lord of
他会像凯
Kailasha
拉
hill,
山的主
Shiva.
人西瓦一样慷慨。
Lord Shiva is known as
主西瓦
Ashutosha.
被称为是
He's
阿舒头舍，
easily
他很容易
pleased,
就会
so
被
he's
取
very
悦，
munificent.
所以他非
And he
常
will
的
be
宽
the
宏
resort of everyone,
大
like the
量。
Supreme Personality of
他
Godhead
将如至尊
Narayana.
人格手是
So
拿拉雅那
everyone
般的，
in
就是说
society
是
should
众
feel
生的
they can
依靠。
take the shelter and resort of king, the ruler, who is even the shelter of the goddess of fortune.
好的统治者，而幸运女神，甚至是。而至尊人格首神，甚至是幸运女
This
神
child
的保
will
护
be
者。
almost as good as Lord Shri
这孩
Krishna
子因
by
为
following
遵
in
循
his
主师 Krishna 的教
footsteps.
导，所以将几乎与
So he's
Krishna 一
not
样。
equal to the Lord, but in
他跟主
quality
不平
he
等，
is
就是说，
same because he's
但是在
following
这个
his
地方说
footsteps.
呢，是因
In
为
magnanimity
他
he will
的教
become
导，
as great
所
as
以几
King
乎一样，
Rantideva.
在宽宏大量方
Rantideva
面，
was
他将与
fasting
Rantideva 王
for
般优
long
秀。
periods till he was able
Rantideva
to
戒食了
share
很
even
长
his
时
meal.
间，可是，在这样的情况之下，他仍
And
然
in
能够
religion
跟其
he
他
will
的人一
be
起
like
分享他的
Maharaj
饭食。
Yayati, and we
有
have
关
heard
宗教
the
方面，他
beginning
将如
the glories
Yayati
of
王，
Maharaj Yayati.
我们也听过了关于
The
Yayati
child
的
will be
荣耀。
like Maharaj, like Bali
这个孩
Maharaj
子
in
将像巴利
patience,
王一样有耐
a
心，
staunch devotee of Lord
像
Krishna
赫
like
拉
Prahlad
的王一样，
Maharaj.
是主 Krishna
So
坚
Prahlad
定的奉
Maharaj
献者。
was very much
Prahlad
steady,
Mataji
although
是
he
非常
was
坚定的，
provoked in
尽
his
管他也
practice
受到
of
挑衅，
Smaranam.
但是他一直在做
A
Smaranam。
performer of many
他
Ashwamedha
将
horse
会举行许
sacrifices
多场
and a
马祭，
follower of the old
将
and
会听
experienced
从年
man.
长有经
So
验
he
的
will
人的
continue
指
the
导，
tradition.
所以
This
他
child will
会
be the
延
father of
续传
kings
统。
who will be like
这
sages.
孩子将是如圣人般的君
Usually
王
it
的
is
父
said
亲。
that
通常就说，
Rajasya Kshatraya Kshatram. The Dharma is the
Dharma 是
ruler of the rulers, king of
统治
kings,
者的统治者，是
the
国王
father of fathers. But
国
here we
王
see
父
that
亲之
he
中的父
will
亲。
be
在这
such
里
an
我们可以
embodiment
看到
of
他是这样的
Dharma that
Dharma
he
的一个
will
化身，
be father of
他将
kings.
会成为
For world peace and for the sake of religion,
为了世
he
界
will
和
be
平
the chastise of the
教
upstarts and the
原则，他将成
quarrelsome.
为傲慢自负的恶徒
So
与喜
the
欢争吵之
duty
人
of
的
king
惩
is to
罚者。
protect
由于国王在保护
civil liberties
保护
of
平民的
citizens who are
自
following
由，
Dharma
所以
and
有一些臣
to
民他们追
uproot
随
the
Dharma，
upstarts
为了铲除暴
who
发
are
户，
provoking
他们
principles
挑
of
衅
Dharma. Even Lord Shri
Dharma 的
Krishna
原则。
is saying in Bhagavad
主
Gita
Krishna 在
that
巴
he
格吉塔
came
之中
to
提到，
re-establish Dharma,
他们
Dharma
会重新建立
samsthapanarthaya.
Dharma samsthapanarthaya。
After hearing about his death, which will be caused by the bite of a snake bird sent by a
听到
son
Brahma 的儿
of
子
a
诅咒他
Brahmana,
将被一只
he
蛇
will get
咬死的消息
himself
后，将会摆脱
freed
一
from
切
all
物质，
material
因冷
attachment
静而
and
臣
surrender
服人
unto
格
the
守神，
personality of
托庇于
Godhead,
至尊主。
taking shelter of him. So, and the Brahmanas are concluding by saying that you will have not only glorious life but
他
also
不仅
glorious
有
death.
荣耀的生活，而且还将有荣耀的死亡。
Great personalities which are
伟大的人物，
incarnations
他们
we
是
glorify on their birth
他们是这样的化身，所以我们
birth
他
date
们
or
的
avirbhav, the
他
appearance,
们的
but the great
Abirbhav，也就是他们的显现。
devotees of the Lord we
我
celebrate
的
on
贡献者呢，
Tirubhav
我
when
们
they
庆祝
are
Tirubhav，当他们
when they have leave
当他们
their
离开
body
这个躯体的时
because
候，因
they
为
celebrate the actions which
我
they
们
have
庆
did
祝他
in
们
this
已经
lifetime.
在这一生
So
之
it
中
is
所做的这些行为，
very auspicious
所以这
to
是
glorify
非
such
常吉
personality
祥的。如果我们去
because
荣耀这
we
样
are
的
also
人，
remembered
我们也可以
what kind of
纪念
activity we should
我
also
们
perform,
该
how
进
glorious
行
our
什么样
human
的
form
活
of
动，我
life
们这个人体的
should
生命
be.
是多么的有荣耀。
So all these qualities
所有
of
的这些
Maharaj
Maharaj
Parikshit
Parikshit
are
的
actually
品质，
for all of us to remind us
其实这
what
都
is
是
the
在
human
提醒
form
我
of
们
life.
人体的生命应
And
该是什么样子
these
的。
kind of glories
这种类型的荣
are
耀，
meant to re-establish
为了
us
重
on the
新
path
让我
of
们确立
nobility,
在
Arya Dharma,
阿尔达
the
尔玛
path
的
of
道路之上，但
nobility,
是
or the order of nobility
我们
is
的
meant
这个能力的，
to promote excellence in
其
humanity.
实是为了
Today
提
we see
升
that so
整
much
个的
of
人类
radical
的
egalitarianism
能力。
is promoted, that everyone should
每一
be
个人都应该
equal,
平等。
but that is creating
但是
only mediocrity. We should
这只能
see
是造
every
成
living
平
being,
等。
every human
我们
being
应该看到
as
每一个人，每一个生
individual,
物体都是
and in
个
his
体，
capacity he
而
should
他以他的能
achieve
力，他应该
excellence.
达到优秀。
So that kind of excellence,
所以这
guna
种类型
tishaya,
的优秀
like here, guna
，Gunatishaya，就像
mahatmya
是
is
地
very
理的
much
Guna Mahatmya，
very much glorified
受
because
到荣耀的是因为
a human being have natural
人类他
tendency
有一
to
种自
improve
然
his
的倾向
condition.
就是改善他的情况。
If you don't improve our
如果我们
condition
没
by
有去改善我们
austerities,
的
by
情况，
sacrifice, by
然后
charity,
我们不去做祭祀，
then
不去做
our
布施，
condition will
我
be
们的
very much
条件呢
miserable.
就会，我们的这种
And
情
from
况会变
the
得非常
time
的凄惨。
immemorial, human beings
从
are
不可
trying
追
to
的年
improve
代起，
their condition of
人
life.
们的这
And
种
now
生命
in the
的
world,
生命就是
we
受
also
局限的。
see emergence
我
of a
们还
new
可以
kind
看到
of such a tendency.
一种新的倾向的
It's
出
called
现，
transhumanism. Transhumanism
这个
means
叫做
when
泛人类主义。
human being
也
wants
就是
to
说，当人类
overcome
想
his
去克
weaknesses
服
and
他
he
的
wants
弱
to
点，然后
overcome
他
his
想去
lower
克
self.
服他的这个更低的自我的时候，
In Vedic sense,
在伟大的
we are
意义上来
advised
讲，我
that
们
we
被
should
建
overcome
议
our
来
lower
克服我
nature
们的低等的本性，
and by acquiring higher
而通
nature
过获
inquire
得更
about
高
the
的
absolute
本
truth.
性，我们去询问
And by
绝对真理，
austerity, by
通过苦行，
sacrifice,
通过祭祀
to
牺牲
achieve
来
the
获
purpose of
得
life, to achieve
就是达
transcendence,
到
and to live
达到
the
超
lower
然，
self.
然后呢，
But in modern kind of
在现代的
transhumanism,
这种
by
这种
involvement of
理论之中，
technology,
就是说通过一些
the human
科
being
技，
is trying to
人类在试图
reduce the
减
miseries
少痛苦，
of this world
减少这个世界的痛苦。
by how they're saying
怎么
upgrading
说
the
呀？
human
包括
body,
提升人体，
because there is so much of
因为
pollution in
有
society
在这个
because
社
of
会上有
demoniac
很多的污染，
tendencies.
是因为有这种
Miseries
恶
are
魔的
greater
倾
and
向。
greater, so
而且
therefore
越来
there
越
is a
严重。
need, or looks like there is a
那么
need
看起来
for
好像就是有必要，
technology to
有必
improve
要
our
就
present
是
state,
用这种科
present
技来改
condition.
善我们现存的
So
生存状况。
That tendency is always in
所以
human
这种
beings
倾
to
向一
do
直在人类之中，
self-replicate ourselves.
也就是
Swayambhu, everyone wants to become Swayambhu,
每
to
个人都
recreate
想
himself.
所有不，每个人都
But
想自
the
我
modern
复制，
tendency
但是
will
现在的
just
倾
pollute
向
the
呢，
environment, pollute
不断的去污染环
mind
境，
of
不
a
断的去
human
污染
being
人
by
类的心
technology,
理，通过
by
科技，
not only
不
implementing
仅仅
technology in the
是
body,
在
but
身体上进
implementing
行
the
科技，而
mind
且
and
在这个
intelligence
心理
into
智性上
technology.
边也把它们用
Now
用这
we
个
are
科技
more
来进
and
行控
more
制。我们现在是越来越多
engrossed
的
into
沉
technological
浸在
devices,
科技的这些设
and we
备
can
之中。
just expect that one day
我们可以指望，就是
they will
可以
fully
预见，
occupy
将来有一天我们完
our
全的
mental processes and
被，
intellectual
就是我们
processes.
的这个心
And
意
there
的
is
这个
such
程序，还
tendency in
有这个智性
society
的
in
程
this
序全都
kind
被
of
控
modern
制。
transhumanism
那么
which is called technocracy.
这个叫做
We have
就是
seen
有
that after
民
the
主
fall of
制，这叫
communism,
科技
now
制。
even the democracy is slowly
我们的现在的
falling
这个民主制
because there is
正
no
在慢慢的
ruler
瓦解，
like Maharaj
是
Parikshit who
再也
will
没有像马哈拉
re-establish
帕
the
瑞克那
principles
样的
of
统治者
Dharma.
了。
So
他重
democracy
新
is
确
the
立了
rule
Dharma，
of
所
nation,
以
like a
民主
national
制毁
nation
灭了
state. But
灭了这样的
technocracy is such a kind
传
of
统，
a rule where technology
而
is
将来呢
ruling
会发展成
human
是
beings.
科技制，就是说
And
科技主
although
宰人类。
may look like it's coming
尽管看起来好像
from bottom up, it's coming
是
from
从底
people,
到
it's
上，
coming from scientists.
就
We
是
should be
从
very
科学
much
家里来
aware
的，但是
that
我们应
there
该
is
非常
also
清楚，
emergence of corporatism. Big
这个也会导
tech
致
companies are trying to
公司化， 也就是大的公
use
司
this
试图
opportunity
利用这个机会
to manipulate
来操纵
citizens
全民，
for the economical
为了
purposes
为了
because
经
of
济的
their
目的，是
low
因
class
为
nature.
他们的低等的本性。
So it is our actually duty as
所以
citizens to
呢，
know
我们作为
what
全
are
民的
our
职责就是
natural
我们
rights.
的
Natural rights
我
are
们的
called
天
in
生的我们的这种自然
in
权
Vedas
利是什么？
Swadharma.
在伟大经典里被称
Swadharma,
斯瓦达
personal,
尔玛，
spiritual and material
就是
duties.
一个人
According to
要
Vedas, every
他的
living
职
being
责按照
is
经
Swarajya.
典
You have
每一个职责都是
sovereignty.
斯瓦达加，
And that is
我们有可以控
actually
制和
something
统
which
治
is
的
very
东
new
西。
to us
其实我们
because
觉
we
得
have
很
born
新
in
鲜的一个概
system
念，是因为我们出生在这
which
样的
is
一
teaching
个
us
系统之中。
that we are belonging
这系
to
统告诉我们，
some kind of a
我们
nation.
属于一个国家。
I'm Indian,
我
I'm
是印度
European,
人，
I'm
我是欧
American,
洲
and
人，
I
我是美
belong to
国
this
人，我属于
nation.
这些国家。
We should know very
但是我们应
clearly
该非常清楚地了
that
解，
although we are born in
尽管我
some
们出生在某一
land
某一片土地上，
we don't belong to the state.
但是我们并不属于这个国
You may
家。
have some passport,
可能有一个护
but
照，
you don't belong to that
但是你
state.
并不属于这个地
Every
方。
living being, not
每一
only
个生物
human
体并不仅
beings,
仅是
are
人
free
类，所有的生物
from
体其实
the
都
time of
是自由
Satya
的。
Yuga.
从 Satya Yuga
Living
那个时候
beings
开始，生
Were
物
born into this nature and were
他们
free to
出生
perform
在这个自
dharma.
然之中，他们害怕去履行 Dharma 的职责。
So this
其
kind
实
of
但是
rule
这个是他们应有的
is
权利。
Svaraja, it is self-sovereignty.
规则 Svaraja。
From
因
birth
为
I
战
have
主导，
relationship with
从
material
出生
nature,
开
I
始，
have
我就跟
relationship
物
with
质
other
自然
living
有关系，
beings,
我跟其他的生物
with
体有
human
关系，
beings, with animals,
跟
with
人类、跟
plants,
动物、
with
跟植物、
demigods,
跟
with
半神
God.
人、跟神。
That Sambandhagyan have never
这种
changed
相班的
and it will
量从
never
来没有改
change.
变，而且也不会改变。
What will always prevail, it
我们
is
一直应该注意
Dharma.
的是 Dharma。
And Vedic civilization
伟
is
大
so
的文明
interesting
是非常的有意思的，
that is the only surviving living civilization in the world.
这是全世界唯一还活着的文明。
It is declared by UNESCO that 40 out of
联合
46
国宣布说，
recognized civilizations,
在46种被认可的文明
only
之
one
中，
have
只
survived,
有一个还活着，
and that is
那就
Vedic
是
civilization.
伟达文明。
Why have survived?
为什么
Because
传
Vedic
承下来，然
civilization
后
is
活着
still
还存在？是因为伟达文明
run by Dharma.
仍然是由
And
Dharma
Dharma is
主
the
导，而
inherent
Dharma
nature of
是与生俱
object
来的，
and subject.
既是
So
主体
that
又是
nature
客
can never
体，
be
这个本
changed.
性是永远不可能被改
So
被
many
改变的。
kind of
有很多类
nation
型
states
的，
or
比如说有
kinds
国
of
家
rulership
或者
have
是有不
changed
同的这种统治会
from
改变。
totalitarianism, from dictatorship,
从
from
这种独
communism,
裁，
from
从
capitalism,
资
but
本主
Dharma
义
is
啊，
still
这个主义
living,
那个
and it
主
will
义，
always live. And it is because
然后是因为
such citizens, they know
这样的臣民们，他们知
what are
道
their duties,
他
what
们的
is their
职责
nature,
是什
and
么，
what is
他们的
also
本
the
性是什
duties
么，
of
还有
king.
国王的职责是什么。
It's very important to know the
重要的是
connection
能够明白
between
这
the
种关
king
系，
and
国王
the Dharma.
还有 Dharma 之间的关
In
系。
Brihadaranyaka
在
Upanishad, it said that
Brihadaranyaka之中提到，
after the king and kingdom
在国王和国
were
度
created,
被造就出
still
来
the
之后，
creator
仍然这个
was not
创造
satisfied
者
and
还
therefore
不满
created
足，所以他
Dharma.
创造了 Dharma。
Because even a king
因为即使是一
should
个
be
国王，
accountable to the
应该
Dharma.
也要遵守 Dharma。
And as long as he is accountable to the
直到
Dharma,
他
he
还
can
为
rule.
Dharma 负责
When
任，
he is
他就
not
可以统
accountable
治
to
当
Dharma, if he is
他
not
不再
following
去
Dharma,
随
he
Dharma 的
cannot
时候，他就不
rule.
可能
He
去
is
统治了。
losing his powers.
他在失去他的
Therefore,
力
in
量。
Artha Shastra,
在
which is
阿
also
特沙
explained
之
in
中，
the
这
seventh
也
canto
是
of
在
Srimad
圣
Bhagavatam
巴格
by
腾的
Narad
第7
Muni
篇
to
里
Maharaj
边，
Yudhishthir,
是纳德
who
穆
is the
的
inquirer
是马
here.
哈拉讲述的。
It is said
作者也询问过一些问题。
yes, that the first duty
是
in
的，
education of such
在
a
这样的
king
国王的，
is sense control.
就是说国王的职责，在教育方面，国王的
And
职责，首要
in
的
this
职责
shlokas
是
we
政治
see
长官。
that
在这个 shloka 之中，我们可以看到
Maharaj Parikshit was
Maharaj
compared to
Parikshit
Lord
在
Ram.
向主
Lord
让
Ram
在跟
was
主让进行
known
比
that
较，
he
主
will
让知道
follow
他会追随
Dharma
Dharma，
even for the sake
甚至
of
是
him
为了
suffering.
是
He was suffering
就是
very
说这种
much
痛苦的
in
缘故
the，separation of Sita.
就是说他在跟西塔
Even
分离
when she
之
came back, he
间
was
分
suffering
离的
very
这个
much.
期间，他非
But
常的痛苦。
he was considering the law must be followed, otherwise,
可是
if
他
I
还
don't
是觉得
establish
这个法律应该被遵守。
Dharma,
如果我不确立
then
Dharma 的
the
话，
whole world will be ruined.
那么整个
And
世
every
界都
human
会
being
毁
should
灭。
think like this
每一个人类都应
in
该
any
这么想，
action.
在每一个行为举止
All
中
of
都这么
us
想。
should
我
be
们所有的人都应该
like
是
kings,
像国王一
like
样，
Maharaj Parikshit.
就像是 Maharaj Parikshit。
We should know that actually there is a difference
其实，
between
在
Dharma and
Dharma
law.
和法律之间
In
有
modern
区别。
kinds of states,
就是在现
the
代的这个
law
国家
is
之中呢，
prescribing rights and duties of citizens.
法律是用在臣民身上
But
的
we should know that，
但
that
是我
is
们
very
应该
much
知道
wrong.
这个是非常错误的。
I have got my nature by
我
birth
是通过
from
出
mother
生，
and father.
从父亲母亲那儿得到了我的天性。
I am empowered
我被赋予了力
by
量，
my family
通过
tradition.
我的家庭的传统，我被
Just
赋
like
予了
here,
力量。
Maharaj Pari, the Brahmanas are saying
Brahmana 们在说，
that he will be like a puru,
他
like
会
a
像
yayati.
哺乳像雅雅提，
So have qualities of previous
所以先
generations.
前的那
So
些
we are
世代的
empowered
品质，我
by
们是
nature, by
通过这
genealogy,
种
by
出
eugenics. Eugenics is
通过我
science
们
of
的起
creating good
源，
generations.
然后通过这种家庭的
So
传承，我
we are
们得
already
到了力量。
empowered by birth,
我们已经通过出生被赋予了力量，
by different kinds
通
of
过不同类
abilities,
型的，就是说
which
对不
are
同类型的
our
能力，
inclinations from previous lives.
还有我
And
们在先
also
前潜意识的这
with
个
social
活动，
opportunities, which are run by our
所以
society
我们有机会
and community.
在我们
So
的
it
社
is
团、
not
社会上进行
the government who
互
give
动，
you
不是说这个
rights
政
and
府给
duties.
你职责、给你权利。
Kindly never forget that. It's
大
very
家永远不
important.
应该
In
忘
this
记
kind
这一
of
点。
new emergence of new kind of
一种新的
ideology in the world, like this
意识形态，
technocracy, it is very
这种以
important
科技
to
为主的这种意识
not to
形态，
forget
其实
who
呢
actually you are.
很盛行，但
Human
是呢，
beings are very
人类
much
一定应该不
empowered.
忘记你自己到底是
And
谁。
as long as you follow
只要
Dharma,
你追随
you will be
Dharma，
protected by
你就会
Dharma.
受到 Dharma
Dharma
的保
rakshati
护。
rakshitaha, Dharmo hanti
Dharmo hanti
hantaha.
hantaha
One who follows Dharma
一
will
个
be
追随
protected
Dharma
by
的人就
Dharma.
会受
One
到
who
Dharma
kills
的保
Dharma
护，
will be
而
killed
一
by
个
Dharma.
杀死 Dharma 的人就会被 Dharma 所杀。
So we are empowered by
我们受
by
到
our
我们
actions,
的活动的
and it is
力量的赋予，
on each and every one of
而
us
且我们每一个人
not to wait for government
不
to
应该
create
等待着
social opportunities for you, not to
不要
create
等待着别人给
your
你提供一些什么社会的机会，
educational opportunities and ability in you.
什么各种能力
yourself
之类的，你本人，
are responsible for
你
that.
本人应该为此而负
In
责。
that way, you can create excellence
这
in
样呢，
yourself
你
and
便可以
excellence
在自
in
己
everyone
身上
else.
制造优秀，而且可以使别人也变得很优秀。
So, the living being
因此，生物体
in that way empowered is always
这样
above
它便被赋予了
non-living.
力
It is
量。
above government. Government is non-living organization.
政府并不是一
It is
个活
changing.
的一个机构，
Different
它是在
different
改变。
different rulers are changed.
不同的
Different
统治
posts
者在改
are there,
变，
but
有
people are
不同
changed.
的
So
职
it is
位，人们一
non-living
直都在改
organization.
变。
So non-living is always below living.
那么活着比不活着更高级。
Ishavasyam idam sarvam yad jagatyam jagat. So the owner of living and non-living is the Isha.
所以活着还是不活着，由伊莎
So
控制
he
者来
is
决定你的
above
主宰。
non-living and
他
living.
超越所有活着的和不活着的
But
东
the
西。
non-living is never above living.
不
Unconscious is never
活
above
着的之
conscious.
上，没有知觉不可能超过知觉。
Spirit is always above matter.
灵总是超越
Parashakti
物 ，Parashakti
Like living being is
生物
always
体总是
above Aparashakti.
超越 Parashakti。
So it is our responsibility
所以
to
我们的
create
职责
social
是去
social
造就一种社会
opportunities for
的
us and for everyone else, not to wait
对我
for
们每
government
一
to
个人
create and rule the citizens. Citizen is
并且
always free.
并且统治臣
The only duty of
唯一的职责
of，king
国王的唯一的职责
is to
是
protect citizens
保护
from
臣民
miscreants. He
免
is
于恶徒的攻击。
Raja Palakatva. The
Raja
Raja Palakatva is
Palakatva.
the doctrine of that he is
这
the
个词的意思
protector.
是说，
He's he
宗旨的保
must
护
be
者。
Praja Ranjakatva.
必须是
Praja Ranjakatva
Ranjakatva
means he
意
must
思
be
是他必须
endearing to
是
people. How
受到
by
人民所珍爱的。
just
怎么做
sanctions.
呢？就是批准、允许。
If he punish too much,
如果他
then
太
people will
惩罚
protest.
的太多，那么
If
人民就会
he
反抗。
doesn't punish
如果
and
他不去
punish
惩罚，
weakly,
或者他的
then
惩罚很弱，
thieves,
那
rogues,
么那些强
villains,
盗、
they will
恶
create
徒
mess in
会
society and people will be afraid. People will be afraid to perform Dharma.
害怕
The
去做
prevalent
Dharma，
mood will be of violence and anarchy.
然后就会变成无政府主义，变
So
成
the
充斥
king
着
must
暴
be
力，所
dear
以国王
and
必
dear to
须
people.
受到人们的真爱。
The Munis are saying, Yata Raja Tata Praja. As is it is king, so is the citizens.
有
Because
国
he is
王
the
也有相
embodiment
应
of
的
that,
臣民，因为他
that
是化身，
spirit of
他是
nation.
这个国家的精神的化
He
身，
is the best of nation. He's
他
showing
是
by
这个国家的
example.
最好的部分，他是通过榜样来展示的。
So it is our present day imperative to understand
所以我们
real
应
dharmic
该
doctrine and not to be
明白到底这
indoctrinated
个
by
真正的
by
Dharma 是什么。
a law. Because there is a vast difference between a law and a dharma.
在法律和
Law
Dharma 之间
is
有天壤之别。
rules
法律是一种规
given
则，
by a state,
是一个国
and
家
a
给出来的
dharma
规则，而
is
Dharma
the inherent nature.
是
So inherent
继
nature can
承
never
下来的
be
一种本性，这种继承的
So
本
the
性是不可
duty
能
of
改
a
变的。
king
所以
was
国王的职
always to
责
help
是一
people
直
to
的去帮
perform
助
their
人们
Svadharma
去做他们的
and
Svadharma，
to fulfill
并且
the
满足
inherent latent
内
aspirations,
在的这种追求
purusharthas,
Purushartha
dharma, artha,
Dharma
kama, and
Artha
moksha.
Kama 和 Moksha。
So the real purpose is
真
not
正
to
的
tell
目的
human
不是
being
去告诉人们
what to do, but
做什么，
the purpose is
这
to
个目的是
protect
说去保护，
and nurture
然后滋
the
养
swadharma of a living being.
滋养一个生物体的
So in that
Svadharma。
way, the citizens
这样就是
will
这些生物、这些
be
臣
on the
民们
path
就
of
会走在
dharma,
Dharma 的道
they will
路
be
上，
very
走在
much
宗教的道路上，
righteous,
他们会非常的正直，
and will be inclined
他们
toward
会
the
倾向
transcendental path. They will
倾
be
向走上超然的道
inclined
路
to，recognize
他们会
also
倾
what is
向
Bhagavad Dharma and accept
去接
the
受什么是 Bhagavad Dharma，
tradition of
并且接受
Bhagavad Dharma.
Bhagavad
Once
Dharma
Srila
的这种
Prabhupada
传统。
was
曾经施了帕
asked,
帕，
how
有一
is
次有人
that
问他
this Bhagavad Dharma will
Bhagavad
prevail
Dharma 怎么
in
才
the
能够
world?
在世界
Will
上盛行起
someone
来啊？
make a resolution,
得有人做出一个决议，
some kind of
某种
agreement?
型的
Srila
同意。
Prabhupada
施了
said
帕帕说
no.
不，
The environment, the atmosphere in the world
当
will
全世界
be
的环
so
境
much
会
auspicious
变得非常的
that
吉祥的
people
时
will
候，人们
recognize
会认
that
出
these
这
Bhagavad
个
Bhaktas are
Bhagavad
the
Bhakta
best
呢是最好的，
to rule the world.
来
So it
管
is
理。
by
所
recognition
以呢，是通过认
and by
可，
education.
通过
Srila
教
Prabhupada
育。
said
施了
that
帕帕
the
说
first purpose of ISKCON is
，ISKCON
to
的第一个目的
propagate
是去传
the
播
knowledge
知识。
of Krishna Bhakti all over the world
的
and
知识把这个
teach
派发到
people
全
in
世界，
the
并且教导人们
methods of spiritual life in
关
order
于
to
灵性
create
生活的
the
方法。
balance of values.
这样呢，就可以
So in that way we
造
will
就平
fulfill
衡
the
的价值观。
purpose
为了
of
达成这些目
ISKCON and
的，
fulfill
达
also
成
purpose
ISKCON 的
of
目的，而且
ourselves
达成我们自己
being
的目
here.
的。
Srila
这个
Prabhupada
泡泡
being so kind
他非常
have
的仁慈，
empowered all of us, all
他
members
已
of
经
ISKCON.
给我们
ISKCON is
所
no
有
one
的
else
人
but
赋予
us
了力量。ISKCON 其实是每一个人的，
to propagate
来
these
传播
teachings,
这些
and
教
we should
导。
not wait for any
我们不应
kind
该等待，
of how to say
怎么说呀？
authority in a sense that someone need to authorize you. You're already
一些
authorized
授权，就比如
to
说
do all this.
你要授
Srila
权才能做，
Prabhupada
其实你已经
was
被授
blessed
权了。
by
施了
his
帕
spiritual
帕，
master
他受到
to
了他的灵
do
性导师的祝
the
福，
propagation
来
of
进
Krishna
行
consciousness
Krishna 知
movement in
觉
the
的
West.
运动的传播，
And
在
after
西
so
方
many years after
过了
that,
很多年
he
之后，
without any institution, without any help
他其
of
实
any
他是没有
organization,
任
he
何
did
人帮助
miraculous
他，没有任何
work.
机构在帮助他，
So
他成功了。
you should know what are your powers,
所以
how
我们
much
应
you
该
are
知道我们的
empowered.
力量在哪里，
Let
我
us
们
try
在
to
多大程
follow
度上被赋予的力量，让我
what
们去
Srila
追
Prabhupada
随
gave
施了
us
帕帕所
and
给
make
我们
our
的，
life successful.
并且让我们的
So
生
I
命
have
取
with
得
this,
成
I
功。
thank you very much for your
我
kind
就讲这些吧，
attention.
非常
And
感谢大
maybe
家的
there
耐
is
心
short
关
time
注，
for some question.
可能也现在可
Yes,
以
Prabhu.
提一些问题了。
Hare Krishna.
It is mentioned in the
维婆
purport
提在
when
要旨
King
之中
Rantidev was
提到
glorified that
Rantidev 被荣耀的
he
时
was
候，
born as a Kshatriya, but he
说他身
never
为一
ate
个
flesh.
Kshatriya，但是他
So
从
the
来没有吃
Kshatriyas
过
were
肉。
allowed to eat flesh
所以
at
说
those times.
Kshatriya
Or
在那个年代是被允许吃肉的吗？
I think that topic is very much, how to say, secondary.
我想这个题旨怎么说呢？
Secondary,
非常的
although
次要
may。look like it's very important, but
虽然看起来好像很重要。
ahimsa is dharma.
Ahimsa 是 dharma，
but we should know that also the
但是我们应该知
tendency
道
of
这种
king is
国
to
王的
be
倾向是
very much,
非常的
how to say, explosive and
有
determined.
剥削性
So in，
然后
order
非常的有决
to do
心。
that,
为了这么做，
there was allowance for
他
that,
们有这样的许
because
可，
that kind of food
因为这
is
种类
giving
型
him
的
that
食
kind
物
of
可以给他们
hormones,
这种
proteins,
荷尔
animal
蒙、这种
proteins, meat
动物的这
proteins.
个蛋白质。
For kings, there was that allowance,
所以说国王是允许的，
but it was of course done in a prescribed way.
当然也是一种
He was
就是规
hunting,
定的方
he
式
was
做，
offering,
要打猎然后
and,
再
like
供奉
that.
是那样的。
And there was purpose behind why he
而
was
且
hunting, not
还
any
有
kind
他
of
去
animals. And
打猎的
like
目的
that.
也是也是专门有目的的，不是随便的去打猎。
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank you so much
还有
for
Krishna
wonderful
Prabhuji，
class.
非常感谢你的
Prabhu,
精彩
I
的
had
讲
one
课。
question
师傅，我的
that
问题
in
是，
mission of Srila Prabhupada,
在施罗
we
帕帕
see
特的使命之中，我们可以看
there
到
had been always two types of, mentality. Like one is like full-fledged distribution of Vedic
就
literatures
是我们可
to
以
educate people in
就
Krishna
是说
consciousness,
我们鼓励
and
人
also
加入
we
克
have
什纳之学，还有
set up
呢，
for Varnashram,
我们还有
like
想确立一套
nicely
Varnashram，
getting established in social
想
status,
确立这种社
then
会的
practicing Krishna consciousness.
分级
So like
层
for us
面，
now,
然后让大家更好的学习
like
Krishna 之学。
specifically here we see in
那么
Asian
我们可以
countries,
看到
so people are
卡利
not
的影
well
响，
established into their social status, and because of that,
人们的
it
情
becomes
况
very
并不
difficult
好，
for them to practice Krishna
他们很难
consciousness.
修习 Krishna 之学。
So for ISKCON, like
所以对于
which one
ISKCON
should
而
be more
言呢，
like we should more
应该
emphasize upon which factor, like
应该更强调
simply
哪一个方
propagating
面
Krishna
呢？仅
consciousness,
仅是
whether
传播
anybody
Krishna
accept it
之
or not,
学，
we have to
不
just
管人们接
propagate.
受还是不
If
接受，我
anybody
们都
takes
去
it up,
传播
that's
吗？
good. Or we should focus more
还
upon
是我们应该
setting
更
up
多的去
that
关
type of
注在
Varnashram setup
我
more
们的
into.
Varnashram 的确
So
立呢？
what's your intention about
所
this?
以您对此有什么评论吗？
this is a very important topic nowadays,
如
I
今
would
这
say
是一个
for
非
all
常
of
重要
us,
的题
and it's
旨，我
quite
想对于我们所有的人来讲都
elaborate
是如此，而且
to
非常
explain,
的
but in essence, we should know that
繁杂，不可能就是很简单。
there are three kinds of
应该知
processes
道有
described in
三
Vedic
种，
literature,
在
and we
伟
need
大
to
文献
follow
之
all
中
three of
描
them
述了三种类
simultaneously,
型。
parallelly.
然
Bhagavad
后
Vidi,
呢，有 Bhagavad Vidi，
Shravana Kirtana
Shravana
Smarana,
Kirtana
including
Smarana
propagation of
这个也包括
Sankirtan movement on the
Sankirtan
streets
运
of
动
the
的
world
传播，
and
比如说在
giving
这个大街
books,
上或者在全世界还有派书。
just like Srila Prabhupada did
像是
till
Srila Prabhupada
1969.
1969
Then
年，
Pancharatrika Vidi,
然后有
establishment
Bhagavad
of deity
Vidi，他
worship
确立
and
了
a
形象崇
lifestyle
拜，
for all devotees,
作为所有奉
which
献者的一
will
种生活方
support
式。
and regulate our life,
我们应该支持，我们应该规范自
because
己
we
的
may
生
not be on
活，
Bhagavad platform, so
因
we
为我们
need
可能
to,
还
and
没
we
有达到
definitely not
Bhagavad
Bhagavad
的层
platform. We
面
need
上。
to
当然，我们
regulate
肯
our
定是愿
lifestyle
意达到 Bhagavad
through
这
Vaidhi
种层
sadhana
面的。
bhakti and deity
但是我
worship,
们现在要通过
and in that
Vaidhi
way,
Sadhana Bhakti，通过奉献服务的修习，让自己得
give
到
us
提升，
purity
给我们带
of
来
mind
净
and
化，
sanctity of our
给心意带来
consciousness,
并净化，
perform
而且呢，让我们的知
Bhagavad
觉神
Vidi
圣
better,
化，我们可以更好的去履
and
行 Bhagavad
because
Vidi。
not this Pancharatrika Vidi
因为
is
这个 Pancharatrika
predominantly for
Vidi
those who are
主要的是给那些
brahmanas,
Brahmana 们准备的，
not exclusively but
不是说
predominantly,
是绝对的，但是主要的。
and for everyone else there
而
must
对于
be
每一个
Vaidika Vidi.
另外的每一个
Vaidika
人来
Vidi
讲呢，都要
includes
有
samskaras
Vaidika
just
的
like
这
it
个
was done for
Vidi，
Maharaj Parikshit,
就像
and
是 samskar，
includes
就像给 Parikshit
Swadharma,
Maharaj 做的，还有
performance
Swadharma，
of our varnas and
也就
ashrams.
是按照我们的 Varna 和
So we
Ashram
should
生活。
simultaneously
我
work
们应该
on
同时的
three of
致力
of
于
them,
三
but
个
know
方
what
面，
is the
但是
real
我们
goal.
要
It
明
is
白到我
Bhagavad
们
Vidi,
最
the
终极
platform
的目
of
标是什么
always
？Bhagavad Vidi，
hearing
这个是聆听，
hearing about the
聆
Lord and
听关于
chanting
主的
His
荣
name
耀，还有唱诵
and
主的圣名，
speaking about His pastimes,
谈论
remembering
他的
His
逍遥
pastimes.
时
That
光，
is
意
the
念
glory
他
and
的
that
逍
is the
遥时
process
光。
of Kali Yuga.
这是卡利尤嘎所提
Kali
供
Yuga
的
Dharma,
方法，这也
periodic
是卡利
duty
尤嘎达尔玛
of all
最主
living
要的
beings
职责。
in Kali Yuga.
如果
So
有
that
人在
is the
卡利尤嘎的
emphasis.
话，那么就应该向他强调
And
这一
Pancharatrika
些。
Vidi and Vaidika Vidi is supporting.
那么还
But
有
if
支
we
持。
just go on the streets and
如果
like
你
that,
去
we are
大
not
街上的
qualified,
话，
and
你没
people
有
are
资
not
格，我
qualified.
们
We
也
are
没有
also
资格，
people.
我们也是
Then we
就
will not
像
be
成
able
变成了一个
to
普通
maintain
人，他们就
ourselves
不
on that
能够去
Bhagavat
维系我们了。
platform, and this will create many
那么
social
就不在这个
problems.
巴格瓦特的层
And
面上，这可以造
the
成很多
biggest
的问
problem
题。
is
最大的
imitation
问
of
题
that
就是
Bhagavat
模仿
platform.
巴格瓦特的层
And
面，
then people start to follow
然后人
that
们开始追随，
spontaneously,
自
although
动的去
not
追
follow
随。
to imitate that
其实也不是追随，
spontaneously,
是一种模
although they
仿。
may not be on that platform, and this creates
虽然他们
social
没有达到那样的层
issues.
面，但他们去模仿，这样便
Because
造成了一些社会
Person
问
is not
题。
satisfied, he
是
may
因为人
not
们不
control
会满
his
足，
senses,
不
not
满
following
足的人
rules,
没有办法去
regulations,
控制自己的
etc.
感官，就不能够
So
遵守规
focus
范
on
原则。
Bhagavad Vidhi,
所以专注在巴
and
格瓦
even
特
while
上，
performing
甚至是在做
the Vaidika Vidhi, we
Vedic
should know why
的
we are
时候，我们都应
performing.
该明白到为
It's
什么
very
要做。
interesting that for
这是非常有意
Rajavasis,
思的。对于布拉吉瓦西们而言，
Vaidika Vidhi is
Vedic
Bhagavad
Vidhi
Vidhi.
是
For them,
Bhagavad
simple
Vidhi
service is
对他们来讲，
Bhagavad
简单
Vidhi.
的服务就
You
是
will
巴
see
格瓦
what
特
they do.
维
They
迪，
chant
我们会看他怎
spontaneously,
么做。
always remember Krishna
他
and
们
his
总是念诵、
pastimes.
聆听，总是意
But they
念
do
克什纳
simple
的名
service
字和
over
他的
there.
逍遥时光。他们做了
Even
很简单
nowadays.
的服务。
So when we do our
当我
Vaidika
们
Vidhi
在做我
with
们的 Vedic
with
Vidhi 的时候，
Bhagavad
然后我
consciousness,
们应该具备巴格瓦特的知
then
觉，
our secondary
然后
things
我们的
becomes
刺激
primary
的东
things. They are
西
very
就
much
会变
useful.
成
Otherwise, Shramaya
有用处的。
Kevalam. What's the
要不然
use
的
of
话，
Varnashrama? Is saying
玩那上面有什么用处啊？
the Bhagavatam. No? So people are
在巴格瓦
confused
特
by
之中
that.
提到了这一
It
点，人们
doesn't
很
create
困惑。
that attraction
如果
for
没
the
有引
hearing the
发人
pastimes of
们
the
的
Lord,
这
then
种兴趣和
Shramaya
依附去
Kevalam.
聆听
It's just
人
mundane
们，
duty. It creates
兴
better
趣
birth, better opportunities in this life.
因为在这里
But
是有很好的机
for
会，
from spiritual platform,
但是从灵性的层面
Shramaya
上来讲，
Kevalam. It's useless labor.
这个是没有用处的，徒劳无益的。
So we should know how to perform our secondary
应该
activities,
了解，
like
该
Varna
学会如何
is secondary.
履行自己的次要的职责。比如说 Varna， 这
Like
就
a
是次
person
要
is
的。
going to job,
比如说一个人去上班，
he's administrating somewhere, doing some
他在一个地
work
方
in a
做管
government,
理，一个
he's
政
having
府工
business,
作，他
or
或
just
者
being
做生意，
labor somewhere.
或者他是一
He
个
can
地方的
always
劳
do
工，
that
他一直
in
可以
Krishna
做，
consciousness.
在 Krishna 知觉之中去做。
And when he is doing in Krishna consciousness, then
当他在
his
Krishna
work
知觉之中去做的话，
becomes
他
his
的工作就
worship.
会成为他的
But he
崇拜。
is not in Krishna consciousness, then work
但
is
是
not
如果
worship.
他不在 Krishna
No,
知觉之中去做的话，
just
他的
if
工
we
作
see
就
the
不是他的崇拜。
Krishna
就像
have
是我们
told to
看到
Arjuna
Krishna 告诉
that
阿基
he should have a right to perform his
他
duty.
有权利履
Karmanyeva
行自己的职
adhikaraste.
责，
So his duty
他的职责
becomes his worship.
成为他的崇
How
拜。
he please Krishna?
他怎么去
By being
取
Kshatriya.
悦 Krishna，
Considering
通
your
过成
duty
为
of Kshatriya, you
Kshatriya，
should
继
fight.
续他的这个 Kshatriya 的职责，然后去
So
打仗。
he fought and
所以
he
他去
showed
打仗
actually the real purpose
他表
of
现
being a
出了
Kshatriya, being
作
a
为
king, just
Kshatriya，
like
作为国王的
Maharaj
真正
Parikshit
的目
will,
的，就像是 Maharaj Parikshit 也会
to
那么做
protect
一样，
citizens
保
and to
护
kill
臣民，
miscreants,
去铲除恶徒，
destroy
去毁
miscreants.
灭恶徒。
And nowadays you're trying to destroy the miscreant mentality of the
现在呢，我
world
们是
by
要
preaching.
在，就是说，通过传
So
播
with-
毁灭这种恶魔的心
With
态，
that mentality, with that
用
understanding,
这种心态，用
devotees,
这种理
especially
解，奉
grihastas,
献者们，
should
尤其是
perform
巴
their
斯他们应该去履
duties.
行自己
Then
的
that
职责，
secondary becomes primary, just
然
like
后次要的变
Mother
成主要的，
Yashoda
就像是亚寿
is
的妈妈，
cooking milk.
她在
And cooking milk by itself is not devotional
就是
service.
说煮牛奶，煮牛奶本
But
身并不
her
是奉献服务，
consciousness
可是她的知觉
Is devotional and she
是
makes it
奉爱
devotional.
服务，
So then
所以这就
enhances
把这
her
个
love.
变成了奉爱
her
的，这就
affection,
增加了
rati
他的
for
爱，
Krishna.
增加了他对 Krishna 的 rati。
So in that way it is very much
这样
useful.
呢，这是非常有用处的。
So with this I would finish.
我就讲到
It's
这儿吧，
very late
已
already.
经很晚了。
Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam
Srimad
ki
Bhagavatam
jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol, Ajitananda Prabhu ki jai.
Ajitananda Prabhu ki jai，感恩大家的聆听，顶拜所有诸佛的奉献者，Hare Krishna。